Tayson is undoubtedly the best player in EU, and maybe the entire world. So let's get into some of his fights and see how he's so successful. In this first clip, he asks you to like and subscribe. Nah, but seriously, there are several very interesting trends in this fight that Tayson takes here. His avoidance of 50-50s and his beautiful movement too. Notice his first clip, he hears the opponent walking around, so he moves over the top of the roof and then hits the opponent with a big shot. Now his instant reaction is to place a floor and a ramp. This is a super common strategy just to avoid any damage back in return, but what he does next is very interesting. He also places the wall in front and to the left of him, because a very common play that the other opponent would make would be to go around that side and take a jump shot, as this would be a right hand peek for the opponent and a bad left hand peek for Tayson. So he's already ahead of the curve by blocking this off. The opponent runs away as much as he can while Tayson chases him, but he gets behind a right hand peek and he knows he doesn't have his pump reloaded, so he's spraying with his SMG. His awareness and timing of his opponent's shots here is so beautiful. Notice how as soon as the opponent pulls out his pump and is ready to shoot, Tayson ducks behind the wall and is completely covered and avoids taking any damage. He again continues to pressure the player that he knows is very, very weak, and notice when he takes this wall. He knows the opponent is on a ramp, so he does this awkward left hand peek because he's on a ramp for himself, a very, very weird place to take an edit from. But he doesn't just do it in the open. He edits and then moves to the right and crouches to completely avoid a shot yet again. Then he takes a jumping shot, which unfortunately doesn't resolve in any damage. After this, he managed to get a big damage shot off, showing that now the opponent is very, very weak. Even while he knows that the opponent is extremely weak, he still places a wall here in an attempt to jump around it and get a right hand peek. His pump does not shoot, unfortunately, but he manages to clean up the fight with his SMG. As he tries to pop the big pot, he notices another player trying to attempt to aggress him, and knowing that he's weak and only has a big to heal, he knows he has to make a play. Before the opponent has even pickaxed his wall, he's already opened it up and taken a massive shot off on him, which instantly makes the opponent disengage, giving Tayson time to heal. If he'd not done this, the opponent potentially would have continually pressured him and potentially even eliminated him, given he wouldn't have been able to pop that big pot. This next clip is actually in endgame and still has some beautiful movement in it too. Tayson does a great job of getting the wall ahead of this guy and allows him to take a large shot off on him. He then places two walls around him to completely box the opponent in, and in this position the opponent has basically nowhere he can go. So Tayson sprays the ramp down, and rather than placing a cone in it, he does some really nice movement and moves completely to the left. The purpose of this is to be a right hand edit over the wall, but not only this, once he takes the large shot, this allows him to place a ramp over the opponent and be completely safe from his shots. The combination of this wall edit with this really nice ramp place allows you to be completely safe while wall to wall with someone. In this next clip, Tayson places a really nice wall. Sounds simple, right? Notice why he's attacking this wall. The opponent starts to edit the cone as if he's going to leave out the top via a double edit. Tayson just places a very simple wall in front of him. Now this is a very common strategy used to block players from leaving here, but most players will edit through it. Instead, what Tayson does is continually pressure the cone and replace it with his own, making the player completely drop down inside the box. Now if the opponent was smart, he would have just gotten out the left wall as it was still available, but he panicked and this allowed him to pick up a very easy elimination. Most players would still try and edit through this wall up on top and try and take a shot, but the way Tayson did this was so much better. In this next example, Tayson shows a great way to deal with players who just tunnel and create a ton of space. Notice he hits the opponent for a ton of damage, and all he does after this is pickaxe wall on wall on wall. He's not trying to replace anything, he's just weakening and destroying walls so the opponent has to replace them and creates a less stable tarp for him. Eventually, when he gets close to the opponent, one-to-one wall on wall, this is where he finally attempts to retake it, places the cone in, and hits a big shot picking up the opponent. This was a great way just to avoid players just running, creating so much space, because you're just destroying that space as it goes on. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. Peace.